We have the wonderful Krista Senna here today. Krista is an independent curator and gallery owner based in Brooklyn, New York. Krista has worked for the ICA in Philadelphia, the Queens Museum, and the New Museum in various capacities. Welcome, Krista.
Hello, and thank you, Jack, for that warm introduction. I am so honored to be here, and I want to thank everyone else for joining me. As Jack said, my name is Krista Senna. Sometimes people have problems pronouncing my last name, so I like to reiterate it. And I've been independently curating since 2008. And I co-founded and ran Ground Floor Gallery in 2013 in Park Slope, Brooklyn, as a brick and mortar exhibition space. And we operated as a physical space until 2020. Right now, we are still a gallery, and we've maintained our mission of connecting emerging artists and underrepresented mid-career artists to new audiences and new art buyers. And I'm also here in my capacity as a strategist with the 9th Street Collective. The 9th Street Collective is an excellent group that offers professional training and professional development for artists at all stages of their career. I am really pleased to have been invited by Parj to be here. And I'm excited because this is a new initiative. This will be the first of several talks that myself and other art professionals will be giving for free. So it's exciting to be on the ground floor of this initiative as well, and working with my favorite audience, which are artists, especially emerging artists and underrepresented artists. So with that said, we have a lot to discuss. So I think we should just dive in to Art Career 101. I think wherever you are in your art career, you will get something out of this. And I kept the slides to a minimum because I want us to focus on the conversation. And there are a few interactive, trust me, nothing scary, a few interactive moments where I'll be looking forward to your insights as well. All right, so it's no surprise that we are going to kick off today's session talking about goals. Why? Because goal setting is the first step in your journey as an artist. There's that famous expression, it's not the journey, it's the destination. And while I agree with that expression in most contexts, when it comes to this, when it comes to embarking on your art journey, I actually think it's really important to clarify your destination as you go about your journey. Why do I say this? Because if you set goals, that helps you define who you are as an artist. The art industry is notoriously murky. It's the opposite of straightforward and linear. There's no manual or no guidebook, as I'm sure a lot of you have experienced. And it can be quite intimidating on many levels, especially when you're on the outside looking in and don't have access to the resources and the networks that fuel a lot of art institutions. So defining goals is a really powerful tool that will also help you foster community. No one does this alone, especially successfully. Anyone that makes their mark in the art world does it with the help of other people and their networks and their various communities. Oftentimes, it's not just one. Your community will be mutually beneficial, it will be generous, and it will be steadfast. There's a lot of reciprocity, as you'll see in the art world. So once you start to define your path and meet more like-minded people, opportunities will start to come your way. Also keep in mind, and why goal setting is important, that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Your goals will change, your goals will evolve, and that is okay. That's exactly how it should be. Engaging with the art world with intention from day one will help you navigate the industry with more confidence because you'll be self-directed and guided by your vision. Now, why is that a good thing? Because you are artists and your vision is your superpower, excuse me. Vision is a primary strength that artists have, right? You have the ability to conceive of an object or a concept or a performance before it even is visible or tangible. And then you work diligently through your practice to make it come to life and make it be seen by others. So what you're doing here with goal setting is you're taking those same skills that you use when you visualize your work and you envision it and bring it into life. And you're now going to start doing that for your career or continue doing that. So you're going to apply that vision and your innate creativity as well to creating a vision for your art career. How will you impact the existing contemporary art dialogue? What do you want to say? Now, I understand these are big goals and big questions. So what you're going to be balancing is a blend of big goals and big questions and big picture thinking and smaller goals, day-to-day goals. Oftentimes that's related to time, right? Our bigger goals are more longer term objectives, and our lesser or smaller goals are typically shorter term objectives. I remember when I first started curating in 2008, I met a performance artist who became a really good friend of mine. And she said something really simple but poignant that has always resonated with me. She said that she always does one small thing to improve her practice every single day. I think that's a really powerful statement and intention that artists in all fields can relate to. So what does she mean by that? How small is small, right? Some examples could be, in your case as visual artists, reading a review about a current exhibition, jotting down ideas, questions, or inquiries about subjects you want to explore, topics you're curious about. See a show in person, right, when time allows. Visit a friend show. Stop by an opening for a few minutes of someone you know or someone you admire. Watch a video interview. Not everything has to be in person these days, right? We have the plethora of options in the internet to learn from. So you can watch a video or an artist talk by someone you admire. You can start to conduct research about a theme or a topic that intrigues you. You can start to collect or buy new materials with no end game, not really thinking about what these materials are going to be used for in a particular artwork, but just materials that make you excited to go back into the studio and to make work, right? That's a small thing that will pay back in a big way as you start creating. Read a grant proposal or a residency application. Notice I didn't say apply for the application because that's a big step. And that's one that clearly you should do if that's part of your journey. But even reading these applications will help you get ready to be in the headspace and also logistically to apply for, grant opportunities, residency opportunities, et cetera. You'll start to familiarize yourself with that language. Post something on social media once a day, a couple times a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever your time allows. If you don't have time to post, just scroll and observe, see what people are talking about, right? Follow galleries and institutions and art professionals and other artists that you admire. Start commenting, right? Being a part of a conversation online that you're passionate about. And same goes for just following an organization or institution or professional in general. Sign up for a newsletter of an organization that you're interested in, or something along those lines. The point is to do anything related to your art on a daily and consistent basis, because these small daily goals build confidence, and they also build your connection to the contemporary art world and the dialogue. We all live with limitations. We all live with restraints on our time, our energy, and our resources. I know this personally because I've curated quite a few shows. I'm very passionate about this topic, and I've curated quite a few shows about artists working with limitations and restraints. Of course, this could range from space to money, access, health, location, family, etc. But what do these artists all have in common when it comes to managing these limitations and restraints? They found a way to embrace the limitations and to keep going. They didn't let it hold them back from making art entirely, all right? They just adapted their practice. One example that came to mind when I was thinking about this approach to goal setting is the artist Patrick Jewell. And he is a local artist that lived near our gallery in the Park Slope, Brooklyn area. And when I first met him, he was starting a new full-time job. He had 2 young kids. He didn't have a studio space outside of his home anymore. And he was commuting on a daily basis to his new job. And so what he found that the only time that or very limited time that he had to himself was that commute to work on the subway. So guess what? A new body of work was born, and they were the subway portraits. Why? He worked with those limitations. He worked with the herky-jerky subway car and a little notebook that he was able to take with him everywhere. And he just started doing these quick, fun, refreshing sketches of different people that resonated with him that he would encounter on the subway. Of course, from a distance. He didn't meet them, he would just look at them. It was an exercise in observation, right? Which is also a strength that artists have. And then after 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, he had a new body of work, right? And we ended up showing the subway portraits in their entirety, or almost. We curated a large selection of them in our gallery in 2019. So the moral of the story is, remind yourself that doing one thing each day is important. It's a contribution. And don't beat yourself up if it's something that's considered small. It's still a step in the right direction. I tell myself the same thing every day. I'm a primary caretaker. I have 2 young kids at home. I tend to get very frustrated when I don't accomplish as much as I'd like to on any given day, career-wise. And I tell myself the same thing, just Krista, schedule that studio visit with that artist you've been meaning to see. Send out that client email, whip up that social media post, whatever it is. And then I know I've done something for that day. Tomorrow is a new day and I can tackle some more tomorrow. So what are some bigger picture goals? As a strategist for the 9th Street Collective that I mentioned earlier, we offer professional development services to artists. I often consult with artists one-on-one in addition to doing these workshops. I do a lot of one-on-one consultations with artists about particular goals that they have in mind, and they'd like some insight on how to attain those goals. So in some recent sessions, some goals that artists have mentioned are building and redoing their website, editing a grant application for clarity, selecting the right works to exhibit or to show at a studio visit, creating an email list or a newsletter, finding studio space, managing personal and professional social media profiles. And then other concerns are where to show, how to be in a group show, how to meet curators and gallery owners. That's always a popular one. How to build a collector base, how to maximize a residency opportunity, and press, how to get more press and how to get people writing about their art. So I'm sure a lot of these topics and goals are probably familiar to you all as well. And I also hope they spark some interest or some curiosity and show you some of the goals that you can set for yourself as artists. So as I mentioned before, goals can, will, and should evolve. So oftentimes it starts with creating that infrastructure for your career as an artist. And then once that starts to gain some momentum and you're making relationships and you're showing, then artists will often come to me and talk about, how can I obtain my first solo show? What are some steps towards having my first museum show? How can I meet this particular curator or gallery owner? How can I find a gallery that's a right fit for me? I want to show at Art Basel Miami. I want to go to Miami. I want to sell more and live more exclusively from my art. I'd like a regular teaching role. I really want to obtain that particular residency that I've been applying for year after year after year. Those start to be some other goals as your career evolves. I also showed in 2019 when we had our gallery space, a solo show by the artist Mie Yin. And at the time, Mie was and still is a very accomplished mid-career artist. She's an abstract painter, and she hadn't had a solo show in a number of years. And I'd known her for a long time, visited her studio, showed her group shows, which is why group shows are very important. And I really was honored to have the opportunity to have offer her a solo show that then helped put her back on the map. And since then, her career has really continued to flourish and evolve. And she just had her first museum show, and she's selling and showing internationally. And it's a really great feeling as a gallerist and a curator and just an artist advocate to have been a part of that and to see that growth. So I consulted Mie when I was doing a workshop that touched on some of these similar themes that we're talking about today. And I asked her, Mie, could you share some advice for some of the artists that I'm going to be meeting and talking to? This is her advice. It's a really powerful quote. And she touches on a lot of the points that I just mentioned and that I'll keep driving home throughout the presentation. So she says, let's see. Other than the usual stick with it, don't give up advice, what I did particularly is this. First, I worked in my studio for 10 to 15 years without stressing about what my art meant, where my market is. I needed the luxury of time to develop the painting language. I told myself this is not a short gain, but a long marathon. And then when I felt ready, I committed myself to fully engage in the community. That involved going to openings, doing studio visits, seeing shows. It is a big help to be living in New York, but it can be done anywhere. I missed a lot of family dinners, but I thought of it as my job. Slowly, I developed relationships and started to be included in group shows, eventually having a solo show at Ground Floor Gallery. From then on, it's been an upward ascension with many opportunities coming my way, including a museum solo show scheduled later this year. At the end, it comes back to the work. If you don't have the work, all this is meaningless. So I thought we'd wrap up actually with a short goal setting exercise. No pressure, and you don't have to complete everything right now. I'd like you to take a couple minutes as we wrap up this first segment about goals to think about 3 short and longer term goals. The first one is a goal for tomorrow. The second one is a goal for December to help you close out the year. And the third one is a larger goal that you'd like to accomplish in 2023. I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes to think about that. And then we'll just share answers in the chat for each of those different categories. So again, a goal for tomorrow, a goal to close out 2022 in this last month, and one more big goal that you'd like to look back on accomplishing in 2023.
We encourage you to write down your new goals and look at the resources provided in the links for artist goal setting. The rest of this video was recorded in 2022, and so will be specific to that session. Now we'll close out with Krista finishing up this session. Thank you.
Wow, guys, A+ on that assignment. That was excellent. I hope other people enjoyed hearing those different contributions, sparked some ideas. And I do encourage you right after the workshop to take what you've written and put it up somewhere so you can see it in your studio, in your kitchen, wherever you're likely to look. And I think that goes a really long way to helping you, let's say, pursue these goals and see what worked out, what didn't, what did you learn along the way. Bravo.